In this video, we're going to discuss upgrading Angular 17 to 18, and along with that, PrimeNG version 17 to 18. So let's begin. First thing we want to do is search for Angular upgrade guide, and in the guide here, default 17 to 18. That's nice. What we have is basic, medium, and advanced. At work, I'd always do advanced. The reason being is we have a lot of things that are incorporated in our application. Medium is if you don't have a very big application and you just need a basic upgrade. Basic is for basically a skeleton program, and especially with 17 to 18, there are several changes. So if we go to medium here, that's what we're going to use on my project, because my project is just a little bit more than a basic. I'm just starting it out, using it for demonstrations in my videos. So then I click on show me the upgrade. So here are the steps I need to do. Now in the basic, let me show you. In the basic, it's only going to have you do these 3 steps here. And I know that's not going to suffice. Now I'm on a Windows. If you're on a Mac, that would not be selected. So I'm going to go back to medium. And I probably only need basic, but just to be safe, I'm going to go with medium. I know that my version of Node, so let's go look at the version of Node I have. I'm at 22.12.0, so that should be okay. So now, in the projects directory, we want to run ng update Angular core at 18 and Angular CLI at 18 to upgrade your application to the Angular version 18. Now to do this, what I like to do is I want to make sure that my version of Angular version. So I type ng version, and it tells me I'm at 17. Now the next step is we need to update the global version of Angular, and we will do that by npm install global, and we just need the Angular CLI. So if we install that, that will get us our global version of Angular up to that version. So now we've updated the global CLI to 18. So what it says now is we need to update the project. So we're going to update the Angular core and the Angular CLI. We're going to do that step now. So if we go over here, ng date at team at 18. Let's make sure that's correct. And press enter. And this will update the project now with the Angular files to version 18. What we have here is we have an error, and it's saying to use the -- force. So this is something I do quite often when upgrading. It's just something that needs to be done. Okay, now during the upgrade process, this is something new I've never seen before, as one optional migration that can be executed. Optional migrations may be skipped and executed after the update process, if preferred. So use application builder to the new build system. I would like to do that. So I'm going to invert, hit space to select, and I'm running that. Okay, so that part is done. The next thing, so let me check that off. The next thing is just to make sure that we have the TypeScript version 5.4 or newer. Let's go look at that. We're going to go into our package, and we're going to, this would be in the dev 5.4. Okay, there we go. So this is in the dev dependencies. Let's go back, check that. Import state key and transfer key, or transfer state from Angular core instead of Angular platform browser. So let's see if either of these exist in the code anywhere. Can close that. I'm going to do a global search, and I want to search for I don't see state key anywhere. Oop, I want to do project. Alright, so that's not anywhere in the project. Always when you're doing global searches, make sure it's always in the project level. It'll default to directory sometimes, depending on where you are here. This is in WebStorm. In Visual Studio Code, it'll be a little different there. So next thing is transfer state. So we're going to search for state key. Don't see that. Next thing is transfer state. Don't see that. So let's go back to here. Let's check that off. Use include request with auth headers. I don't think that's used anywhere in the code. Okay. Let's look for... Okay. So I search for this, and I search for this, and I don't see them. Because I'm really not doing any back-end calls on apps where you do call a back-end. You're going to have that, so check for it very carefully. Test may run additional rounds of change detection to fully test. As the last resort, revert the old behavior by adding this to the testbed providers. Let's skip that for right now. Remove expressions that write to properties in templates that use that. I do have some of those. I'm not going to worry about that right now. In fact, I'll leave that unchecked so I know I haven't done it. Move any environment providers that should be available. I know I don't have any of that. Provide absolute. Don't have that. Remove all imports. Server transfer. Let's see if we have that. Nope. Don't have that. For components using on-push change detection, ensure they are properly marked dirty to enable host binding updates. Let's see if we have that. Don't have that anywhere, so that's okay. All right. Don't need to do anything else, except now we do need to go and double check all of our versions. So if we go into our package, we see that this is at 17, so ESLint didn't get upgraded because that's not part of Angular. That's a separate project or product. ESLint. So let's check these. ESLint. Karma. Let's go up in here. Adobe CSS Tools is something I'm using in my project. It's 18. So I know I'm going to have to update. Now this right here makes it so PrimeNG will run in, so I didn't make any, this is something I already had. So 17.18. So this should run before upgrading PrimeNG to Angular, or to Angular version 18 in PrimeNG. So what we want to do now, let's clear this. npm outdated. You always want to run that. And I want to look for anything red on this side here. I don't see anything red. Looks good. Now, Is there anything for ESLint for 18? I would assume there's an 18 version of ESLint. So we are going to test that out. So here's a little trick. This works in WebStorm. I think this should work in Visual Studio Code as well. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go delete all that out and put 18. And yes, there is. I don't want to get this. I don't want the alpha. I want to get that. Which tells me that all of these are going to have a version 18 version. ESLint again. This is 7. See if there's an 8. Yes, there is. Let's try with this. I'm just nervous. I'm thinking the 8.18 might go better with Angular 18. $8.57. Why is it saying 8.12? So 9. Let's go up to 8.57.1. That's where it was. Okay, Jasmine should have been updated as part of Karma. So anything pertaining to the test environment should have been updated. Now, one thing to warn you, don't just change things when you're upgrading. Don't just change things like I'm doing here for these. These are not Angular. These are ESLint. They're Angular ESLint, but it's ESLint modules that I'm just changing the version. If you do that with Angular, I've seen people do that with Angular and they get into a real mess because the Angular upgrade process actually is running scripts in the background to modify the Angular project. That is very important. Now, let's go down here. I'm going to do an install, which it'll install these that I've done here, and they all updated to the newer version. Now, before we do any PrimeNG upgrade, let's test this and make sure that everything runs. So I'm going to run test all, just to test to make sure that the tests are all working. One thing I didn't do is run test all before doing the upgrade. That's something that usually catches me when I have something go wrong. Alright, so 59 tests, they all passed. This is good. Let's run start, and let's make sure our project runs. This is looking good. So input okay, that's working. Okay, that's working. And that works. Okay, these are working. Now, note these two fields up here are PrimeNG input, or input, I forget the name of it, but they are PrimeNG components. These two fields down here are using a regular input, but they have a PrimeNG modifier on them. So we will double check that in just a bit when we upgrade PrimeNG. Okay, now the next step is to upgrade PrimeNG to version 18. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to the PrimeNG website, and I'm going to select 18 here, and I'm going to go to Get Started, and I want to look at installation. So PrimeNG themes. Let's look at this for a moment here. So they've changed things where, so the themes are external. So there's NPM, yarn, and PNPM. PNPM is very similar to NPM, only it's much faster. It caches a lot, and you have a single cache rather than multiple caches. And it has a lot of benefits. I haven't switched to that yet. I'm looking at it. But NPM is what I've been using, and that's what I'll continue to use right now. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to come over to the code, and I'm going to paste that. Now, I didn't say what version. I'm hoping it picked up 18. No, it got 19 there. So let's do this again. So when 19 is out, you really do need to put your @18 on there to get it to install properly. Otherwise, you're going to have 19, as we see here with the themes. So PrimeNG themes is a new one. It's separate. It's always been incorporated. Let's see what we have now. PrimeNG is 18, okay. This is important. Prime icons. We'll get to that in just a moment. Just checking everything. Now let's go look at node modules. So at PrimeNG, here we are. So here's the themes. And notice that there's only 4 themes now. There used to be about 15 to 20 themes, and now there's only these 4. So I've always used Nova. Nova is no longer here. Nora is here, but not Nova. We'll have to see what the differences are and see how we can adjust things. So that was installed, and if you go in and you look at the package here, it'll tell you what version it is. So let's go down and look for PrimeNG now. This is all alphabetical. The other thing to note is it's a different color folder than the others. You'll notice a few of them are a different color. I don't understand why, but that's one thing I've noticed. So in here, we have our components. This is very different from the way it used to be. If we open the package here, this is 18.0.2. That's what we want. And this is the README. So one thing to note, so the styles now are incorporated in here. This is a very new thing that they've started doing. On version 18 they started this. 19 continues it. What this does is allows you, at least what I've read, allows you to get away from using ng deep. So we've had to use ng deep, and in one of my other videos I go over an alternate way of getting around that. But they've incorporated the styling now in each component. So look for menu. Here's menu, here's mega menu, and here's style here. So classes, root, extends base style. This is going to be interesting. I need to find out how they're doing this. I think it's going to be, I almost think revolutionary. But I like the way they've done PrimeNG, the new changes. Let's go back and look at the... So we've got this done. Add PrimeNG and to the list of providers in your app config, and use theme property to configure a theme such as Aura. Let's see how this goes. So this is going to be in the app config ts file. Let's look for the app config ts file. Let's close this. Config ts file right here. So, providers, if we look at this, here's the providers, and we're going to add a few more. So you don't just copy this and replace what you've got. You want to keep what you've got because your app needs that. So provider or provide router is one thing that is needed by my app, so I'm going to keep that. And I'm going to add provide animations async. Async, comma. Let's double check. So, Angular platform browsers, animations async. That matches, so that's good. The next thing is provide PrimeNG double check the import PrimeNG config. PrimeNG config, that's good. Now we've got to put theme in here. Preset. And just amber. That's what they're saying. That's what they've got here. I'm just going to use that just for now. Or no, Aurora, not amber. Aurora. Now I have to import that from here. So I'm going to add that import. And so that gets me from PrimeNG themes, Aurora. Verify here. Button, each component can be imported. So they're just saying button as an example here. I've already got some things, so we're going to run the start. We have an import issue. Yes, okay. One thing I overlooked. Configuration. So, in the configuration, we have to make some adjustments. They don't really talk about it here that I can see. So in Angular JSON, there is a file that we need to adjust. And this error message is talking about it. Seg orange theme. There's several here. Okay, so that's going away. Or is it? So, provider. App component. Here's app component. Okay, so it's not necessarily going away just like that. Let me undo that. PrimeNG, get rid of config. Config. Okay, so here's the PrimeNG config, down here, PrimeNG config. And the constructor, we're going to use PrimeNG. I got to change that to just PrimeNG. So this right here gets changed to PrimeNG. All this gets changed. Set. Because this is now so this went from a regular type variable to a signal. See that? So in WebStorm, what I do is I hold down Control and I can go and look at these things and see what they are. Now here's toast. Toast has been changed. Let's go back to the web here. So here's theme. Here's ripple. So P. There's quite a bit in the setup here. So what we've done here, the options we haven't really put in yet. Provide PrimeNG. Yeah, we did some options in there. So here's the options. Provide PrimeNG with the theme option. Go back over here, toast. Looks like toast is no longer. Let's go back here and just look at components, see if we can find toast. I don't find toast anywhere around here. Let's go back to 17. Get started. Components. So I think toast is one of those that was changed. Yeah, under messages. If we go back to 18. Toast is still there. Okay. Toast is still there. Don't know why this is giving an error. So I'm going to just remove that for now. Just comment it. Actually, oh, there's something else going on there. Alright, so I'm just going to remove that. And it says that one also doesn't exist. Okay, we have several errors here. Now when you are upgrading Angular or PrimeNG, you are going to have a lot of errors and you're going to have to just figure it out. So let's rerun this just because I fixed some. I want to see what errors are still left. So if we scroll up here, this right here, where is this found? I'm going to do a global search. And it's in the Angular JSON. Oh, those don't exist anymore, so we're going to delete them. And where was the second one? Down here. So those don't exist. So there's been a major change in the PrimeNG styling, and that's what was causing those errors. Let's see if we have any other errors here. Looks like it's building, and it did. It built. So let's go over to the web now. I'll show you a little trick here. You're going to do a right click. We're going to do an inspect. And we are running NG version 18. So this is now converted from 17 to 18. Let's see how well it works. So this is the mega menu. I can see a few things have changed. So that works. Oh, this is nice. I used to be able to just go up here and it would open. No more. You have to actually click on it. So this is a so that works. These are PrimeNG controls. Okay, that works. That works. IO Q is another one that can't have. So in a VIN, if you look up VINs, there's a global standard now for VINs, and they cannot have I or O or Q because those look like 0 or 1. The Q, even though it is a Q, it's basically a O, and with a little slash in it, and you may not see that. It's common, especially. I'm dyslexic, and so sometimes I miss those things. But I wonder if I think everybody misses it as well. So if we go. Yep, 17. So that's a control. Now this is an input with a modifier from PrimeNG. I'm trying to remember the right term, but it's and this is also an input with a modifier from PrimeNG. All right, so we've successfully upgraded this to Angular 18. Let's go back and look at other configurations. So ripple. Ripple is when you click on a button. Let's see if I can demonstrate it here. It's going to show up on the buttons. Radio button, checkbox, there, just a regular button. Okay, here, let's turn ripple on. See how it ripples out from where you click. Let's find a see that ripple effect? So if I go back and I turn ripple off, it doesn't do that. So that's what ripple does. If I go back to get started, configuration, and ripple, I'll show you where that would go in the code. Go in here. So this is the PrimeNG, provide PrimeNG, and provide PrimeNG. There's theme, and let's put ripple in there. And setting it to true. So if I have a button now, it'll have the ripple effect. There's a couple other controls, I believe, that do that. The z-index we've already looked at. That's in the app component here. So the z-index, I'm talking about it, but I'm not showing that screen. So the z-index is here. The CSP nonce. So nonce is usually, think of it like a serial number whenever you do HTTP call to the back end. You can set nonce to a static value or auto-generate it. I recommend auto-generating it just so that you know you have valid communication. But you can, you can do it where it's static. And then filtering mode. So default filter modes to display on data filter menus. So data table filter menus. This is how the filtering is set up by default. And this would be done in the app component. So it's all in here. And this would be in the PrimeNG and it would be filter match modes. And that's how you would set that up. All right. So now contains equals in. Now where are those defined? If we go back over here, you're going to see that down here. Here's the contains and not contains and other things. Overall, the upgrade to Angular 18 went a lot easier than I expected. I'm not concerned about styling right now, so in your app you may have styling issues because they removed a lot of themes that you may be based off of. That's something that we're going to try to cover in another video on modifying themes in PrimeNG version 18, and it would also apply in 19. So I hope this video has helped, and if you enjoy, please subscribe and like this video. Thank you.